The iPad Air M1. A sleek tablet with eye-catching edges and a bezel-less display has transformed what we expect from tablets. No longer are the days of a tablet being used only as a multimedia device. This new generation of iPads is a productivity powerhouse that will give your laptop a run for its money. So how good is the iPad Air M1? Hi guys, my name is Manny, Rataul, and today we're going to be talking about the iPad Air M1 in depth. But to save you guys some time, I'm going to give you the conclusion up front. If you're looking for a new tablet, or this is going to be your first iPad, the iPad Air 5th generation M1 is the perfect tablet for its price point. A lot of standard applications that are typically used on a laptop can be substituted with this iPad, and pairing it with the new Apple Pencil, you get a whole slew of new features that a lot of other tablets just don't offer. Now, before we jump into the video, if you guys haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking this video. Let's start things off with the dimensions and weight of the iPad Air. The iPad is extremely light, weighing only 1.02 pounds or 456 grams for our metric folk. The 100% recycled aluminum unibody on this iPad allows it to be light, but it keeps the rigidity as a solid device. There's absolutely zero flex to the body, and you don't have to worry about accidentally bending it or deforming it. The iPad Air is 9.74 inches tall and 7.02 inches wide. What makes this device so light is that it's only 0.24 inches thick, very similar to the iPhone depths. Now, the only real negative about the iPad screen is that it doesn't have the 120Hz ProMotion display like the iPad Pro. For those who are not familiar, the ProMotion is essentially a seamless display with very little blur because the refresh rate is so high. Now, if you haven't experienced a high refresh rate, this is one of those instances where ignorance is actually bliss because you're not actually missing out on anything because you haven't actually experienced it. If you've never used a high refresh rate above 60Hz, they're not really missing out on anything. However, if you're used to high refresh rates, then the iPad might seem a little slow and a bit laggy, but it's only because of the low refresh rate, not because of the processor in the iPad. Okay, moving on to the ports and buttons on the iPad Air, we're going to start off with the charging port. And Apple has finally ditched that Lightning connector and added USB-C support. Now, if you're not familiar, USB-C is a new standard where Lightning, you'd get up to maybe 480 megabytes of transfer. You get up to 40 gigabytes with USB-C, as well as fast charging. A huge upgrade over the previous generation of iPads, and it also allows for fast charging, where you can charge the iPad in about 2 hours. On the right side of the iPad, we have two physical volume buttons and a magnetic connector which holds and charges the Apple Pencil. Very convenient way of holding on to your pencil and not having to worry about misplacing it. The cellular capable model of the iPad also comes with a standard SIM tray, but since this is a Wi-Fi only version, it doesn't have that. So you've probably noticed that the iPad doesn't have any physical home buttons. So how exactly do you unlock this device? Face ID? Not quite. The iPad Air comes equipped with a Touch ID sensor located on the top of the device, which uses your fingerprint to unlock the device. Security characteristics aside, I much prefer the fingerprint unlocking. It's a lot easier and you don't have to physically lean over or pick up the iPad and shove it in your face to unlock it. Now, moving on to the speakers of the iPad Air, it has a set of two speakers located at the bottom near the charging port, and it packs a lot better punch than the previous generation of iPads. Now, to give you an understanding of how well they sound, I'm going to compare this to standard iPhone speakers, and I'll let you be the judge of what sounds better. Let's move on to the camera that's on the iPad Air. The Air is equipped with a single wide-angle 12-megapixel camera on the rear, and it's capable of recording 4K video at 60 FPS. The camera quality paired with the post-processing capabilities of the M1 result in some pretty great pictures and videos. Here are some pictures and sample videos recorded on the iPad to demonstrate the quality. So this is a zoomed in front FaceTime camera, 12 megapixel. A little bit noisy in terms of ISO, but overall much better quality than the previous generation of iPads. And this is the wide angle shot, a lot less grainy, and you capture a lot of the background. So this is a great device if you're planning on FaceTiming with your family members or a bunch of people to fit in a single picture. I'm actually quite surprised how much this can fit in one frame. Really good camera. Now, moving on to the performance of the iPad Air, and I feel like just showing comparison numbers and Geekbench scores won't paint the entire picture. Looking at scores and numbers doesn't inherently tell you how well a device is. What matters is, can the device perform the applications that you ask of it, and how well does it do it? Well, the iPad Air can perform a lot of tasks, and it can do a lot of those tasks very well. Now, there are literally hundreds and thousands of apps made specifically for the iPad on the App Store, but I'm going to demonstrate a select few that I use and the most common ones you'll find on YouTube. So let's look at the first set of apps in terms of note-taking and productivity, and this is a perfect example of demonstrating how well the Apple Pencil 2 works. And we're going to start with GoodNotes 5, something that I use every single day and what I've been using through college and university for the last 5 years. Now, GoodNotes 5 is my favorite application for note-taking and organizing my notes. You can create folders, you can create notes, shapes, import pictures, import textbooks, and mark up any document very easily, all with the touch of the Apple Pencil. Pretty much anything you can do with a pencil and paper, you can do 10 times better and some with the Apple Pencil and the iPad Air. Now, this next app is a perfect demonstration for our creative users and graphic designers. This app is called Procreate, and it really utilizes the Apple Pencil and all of its features. The biggest one being pressure sensitivity. As you can see, the harder you press on the screen with the Apple Pencil, the more bold and apparent the ink type will be on the paper. Not limited to just paper, the angle at which you draw the Apple Pencil will also change how the ink appears on the screen, just like you would in real life with a paintbrush or with oil pastels. There is an entire sub-community of creators that create amazing works just using the iPad and the Apple Pencil. Now next, I want to show you the capabilities of the M1 processor on the iPad. I'm going to open up a project in Adobe Premiere Rush, which is the mobile version of Premiere Pro, which is a video editing software. I'm going to load up the same exact project and timeline on my iPad as I am on the MacBook Air, and we're going to compare how long it takes for each to render. Now, for those who aren't aware, video processing and rendering are some of the most demanding tasks you can ask from any computer or tablet. The battery life on the iPad depends completely on how you intend on using it. So many factors like brightness, application type, and usage is going to affect how much battery you get out of the iPad. But for standard usage with web browsing, note-taking, and video streaming, you're looking at about 7 to 8 hours of good use on a single charge. One of the great things about the iPad Air and the USB-C is you can get a full charge on the iPad with just 2 hours. Now onto the golden question, is 64 gigabytes of storage enough? And this depends. If you have iCloud storage and you save most of your files on the cloud, 64 gigabytes is more than enough. However, if you're one of those users that like to store all your files locally, or you're going to be working with large files locally on your iPad, for example with photo editing or video editing, then I'd probably recommend that you go with the one up higher at 128 gigabytes. But the model I'm demonstrating here and what I've been using it, but even with my previous iPads, have all been 64 gigabytes. Currently, the Air is listed at $599 USD for the base Wi-Fi model, but with the educational price, you can get the same model for $549 and a $150 Apple gift card. An incredible deal if you plan on purchasing the Apple Pencil, which is currently priced at $119. Now, to close out this review, I'm just going to reiterate what I said at the beginning. If you haven't upgraded your tablet in a while, or if this is going to be your first tablet, the iPad Air is the perfect choice. Now, honestly speaking, if you have a generation old iPad or you have an iPad Pro, save your money, you don't need to buy the iPad Air. However, like I said, this device is incredible, it's an alternative to laptops, and it will probably last you the next 3 or 4 years. I hope you guys enjoyed this video review, and until next time, peace.